Hi, loving soul. Welcome back to the show. So before I became a mother, I worked in the corporate world for many years, and I was hotly aware of the fact that work was not the same vibration as the one that I wanted to operate in. It felt like there was something missing. It wasn't heart-centered, it wasn't loving. Sometimes there was a competitive edge, and honestly, sometimes I feel like there are people there and I'm not quite sure what their agenda is. It's like people just want to get into work, smash out their work, and then go home without making the most of every day. And it used to sort of honestly exhaust me. It really drained me. And I think if you're the kind of person that I am, which you probably are, you are a loving giver, and you get far more energy from a cooperative, loving, I like to think of it as an evolved kind of atmosphere at work, rather than being in something where it's like a dog-eat-dog world, very materialistic, living like barbarians, everyone trying to get their slice of the pie and grab as much meat as possible. Like, it's just not the way we want to be. We're loving caregivers. We're not all about the take. And there were times when I almost sort of judged myself for being like this. Like, I thought I wasn't really good enough because I wasn't the same as everyone else at work. I didn't feel like we had the same values. And instead of really honoring and being so happy with the way I felt, I used to criticize myself and think maybe I would actually get further at work if I was, if I operated in a different way and had different values. But that is impossible. That's like trying to fit a triangle into a square hole. It's just not going to happen. And also, it's really vibe decreasing. The much better way of looking at it is that we want to try and increase the vibration in our workplace to better suit what we actually want. And that means that we are vibrating, we're in this energy that is just more of a conducive match to love and gratitude. And there are so many ways I discovered that you can actually raise the vibration of your workplace. And that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, so that you are swimming in this vibration of love and gratitude and actually really enjoying your life and living in authenticity and integrity with who you really are, which is what we are aiming for in life. Why is this important? Well, because we get what we are, not what we want. So we need to be a congruent match at work and living in this vibration of who we truly are. We don't want there to be a massive gap between the brand we feel we have to be at work versus our true selves. Of course, there is some ways in which we are a bit more professional at work, and we might not reveal all of our entire emotional truths, and we have appropriate boundaries at work. But nevertheless, there are ways to infuse work with the same values that we really hold true to ourselves, so that we are cultivating an environment that we're happy to spend all of our hours in, an environment that's going to help us grow and blossom, not shut us down and make us feel shame for who we really are. So let's get stuck into today's episode, where I'm going to share these 4 great tips to help you infuse more love and a heart-centered reality into your corporate job and workplace. Let's get stuck in. If you're done with spending your precious time and energy on partners who bring you heartbreak, anxiety, and stress, and you want a way out of the constant wondering why you aren't meeting the right partner, you are in the right place. Hi, I'm Remy, clinical hypnotherapist, EFT facilitator, NLP master practitioner, and your dedicated love upgrade coach. I went from being a codependent, anxious serial dater and marrier of the wrong men to being happily married with the warm, loving family household I could only dream of. I'm here to give you the blueprint you've been missing to understand and transform your blocks and limiting beliefs, connect with your inner wisdom, understand the power of energetics and my mastery, all so you can confidently attract the healthy, loving relationship you've always wanted and truly deserve. Let's expand your belief of what's possible for you. You deserve unshakable self-confidence and a relationship that feels right on every level. And it's your turn to attract it all. It's time to upgrade your subconscious and start some real life magic happening. So nestle on in and let's get to it. So I worked in the male-dominant world of commercial property management and leasing for almost a decade. And well, to be honest, some companies were more heart-centered than others. I did used to work for a couple of lovely guys who, it was really a very small office, and I, really set the tone. I was the female touch in the office, and that was great, and they were lovely. So that was different. But in the bigger companies that I've worked in, the more sort of the proper corporations, corporate entities, corporate businesses, that's the word. I could never quite understand how so many people around me were happy to spend so much of their week in an environment that was focused on making money and furthering their own careers, rather than focusing on the more human side of things. And now looking back at it, I know that it's my strength. It was what I brought to the world. It's my light that I shine on the world. And thank goodness we all bring different things to the world, like a whole, it's like we're an orchestra, aren't we? All of us have instruments, and we all play different sounds at different tempos and different beats. And thank goodness for that, because it makes the whole world a rich, wonderful place, But having said that, everyone else's instruments at work used to suck me dry. I used to really, obviously there's some friends at work that you love and adore. But aside from that, the general vibe usually is very old school, especially in commercial property. And I'm guessing lots of other, I know for a fact, and lots of other industries as well, in the law industry and finance particularly. Insurance, any sort of very male-dominated or historically male-dominated industry, it's not heart-centered. They're not there to spread love and light in the world. They're there to make money, right? And there's nothing wrong with money, don't get me wrong. Money is a wonderful tool, but there is more to life. And when you're spending, 40 or so hours a week in an office, it's really important to have the right environment around you that's going to help you to thrive, not suck you dry. So over my years of experience and a very profound personal and spiritual growth story on the side, I learned some techniques that really helped me to feel more at home and safe at work, and also allowed me to spread my light and get more satisfaction from my workplace, which was really invaluable. And I'm very excited to be able to share them with you today. So the 4 things are: number 1, developing a loving, non-judgmental, where possible, mindset shift about the people I was working with. Number 2, finding ways to embrace my inherent gifts in an appropriate way. Number 3, raising the energetics of my workplace through the power of visualization. Don't laugh and roll your eyes, please. And number 4, remembering my why for being there. And to lovingly remind myself not to keep second guessing my life choices, because actually everything I was doing was in alignment with my highest and best wishes for my life. Okay, so let's start with number 1, developing a loving, non-judgmental mindset shift. Well, this begins by remembering that there is always heart-centeredness in other people's reality, even if they don't show it, and even if they don't know it themselves. And respecting and honouring that part of them is really an elevated way to shine your own light on the workplace. Not only will you come across as emotionally intelligent, trustworthy, and a great example of a manager who leads with compassion, you'll also find that you might be amazed at how other people open up and start living from a more openly, overtly, heart-centered place themselves. And a good example of this is the story of this girl I used to work with. She was so rude to me, and I really didn't know how to deal with her. She made so many swipes and aggressive remarks in emails that she used to copy in my one of the directors of the business to. And really, I'd never done anything to her in my life. And one day, her animosity became so unbearable that I just knew that I had to confront her. I knew that I wanted to come at this with love and understanding, not anger. So I really tried hard to diffuse the anger in my mind before I spoke to her. And then one day the opportunity presented itself for me to talk to her. We were both getting ready after the gym before work, and it was just the 2 of us there. So I just turned around and I said, "Hey, look, I can't help noticing that you are you're acting as if you really are quite upset with me. Is there something that I've done to make you feel this way? Because it never was my intention, and in the few months that I've been at this company, I've only tried to make life easier for people. And I'm not out to steal anybody's position or, get any accolades that aren't mine to get. And I'm very happy to support everyone in the workplace and, share their wins and make it a fair, loving place to work. But I'm finding that you're really making things difficult for me. I'd just love to understand more where you're coming from. Something along those lines. And anyway, it sort of caught her so off guard that she ended up bursting into tears and going into this long story about how she's never been able to trust anyone, and she was deeply sorry how she was acting, and it was to do with her father leaving her, and it's an issue that she needs to work on because she doesn't feel safe to trust people, and she feels uncomfortable making close relationships with people that she doesn't know yet. So in short, underneath this whole bravado and act of coldness and animosity, this sort of impenetrable wall that she'd put up, it was really a broken little girl who couldn't understand why her dad had deserted her. It always gets down to such a real sweet and innocent, sad little inner child. That's usually what sparks this kind of animosity, this really quite toxic behavior. And don't get me wrong, you're not always going to get to the bottom of it with somebody. But you can, even if you don't have that conversation, even if it's like a 60-year-old man who is a director and is never going to open up to you because they probably have never even admitted to themselves why they're feeling wounded and so irritated and upset by non-existent triggers. Just remember that underneath it all, there is a little girl or boy who had their heart broken as a child and blame themselves for it. And to this day, they might not be aware of what it is that makes them feel that way. And they probably hate themselves for being the way they are. Most of these people are well aware of how they push people away. And that makes them even more irritated and even more triggered because they know that there is this part of themselves that they are unable to reconcile or control. They don't have any control over this part of them that pushes people away and results in divorces and being estranged from their children, etc., etc. And while they may rise to the top of the company, it still doesn't make up for the fact that their emotional lives and their personal lives are in tatters. They might be well respected in their field, but they certainly don't go home to a loving home most of the time. And while it's absolutely never an excuse to be treated poorly by anyone, I am not saying that you need to put up with that at all, but it is a very good way, when we remember this, of reducing any anger that we feel, because when we hold on to anger, it's a poison that we're giving ourselves. It's never our burden to make somebody else feel better, especially when they haven't asked for our help. But in just the same way, it's our responsibility to ensure that we reduce our own suffering. So we can choose to let go of that thorny rose that anger is. That when we cling on to it tightly, it only ends up hurting us and exasperating our own suffering, when really we can just let it go. And then once we don't feel anger anymore, we are able to think in a regulated way and make a consciously aware choice about how to go forward with the situation when we see them through the eyes of empathy. And while what they're doing might not be our preference, we certainly don't have to feel emotionally triggered and deregulate from it. And making decisions from this place is only going to bring you more in alignment with your highest and best version of yourself. Funnily enough, in the case of this girl that I was just telling you about at my work, she was actually much warmer to everyone after that. It was almost as if her unconscious auto-programming had just been brought to light so she could be consciously aware of it and actually have more choice over how she behaved. And soon after it, she ended up meeting a guy who she ended up marrying. So there we go. Becoming consciously aware of our unconscious auto-programming is just one of the most powerful things we can do. All right, now point number 2 is embracing your inherent gifts. So this is about consciously assessing how we can bring more emotional intelligence to our workplace and increase the vibration of the culture there. If you are attuned enough to understand that there is an energetic imbalance in your workplace, the chances are that you have the skills to also improve the situation. We're not given these abilities for no good reason. It is our inner wisdom, the divine order of the universe, God, source, higher power, whatever it is you want to call it. There is something going on here, and we need to start listening to our little inklings of wisdom that come to us, our pearls of wisdom that get dropped in our heads. Ooh, something feels a bit off in this workplace. What can I do to increase the vibration here? If you're in a situation and you don't like what it's presenting to you, well, you can just ask yourself, what could I do here to improve the situation? And even if it's a tiny initiative at work, just think what you could do to contribute to the well-being of your workplace, whether it's introducing a new way of working that's more heart-centered, or perhaps a way to build a culture of trust, or perhaps introducing the idea of lunch speakers into your office who are there to improve everyone's emotional intelligence, or maybe everyone engaging in a compassion project that helps foster a culture of caring and consideration of others, like a charity project. Or maybe it's acts of service or kindness that you could do for another employee there, whether it's a friend or someone you don't even know that well. If you see something that you could do to help them, why not do it? And just do it off the hook. Don't do it because you're expecting anything in return or you're worried about how they'll take it, because that is their burden. If we're going to be truly uncodependent, so truly interdependent about life, we need to do things that occur to us that are in alignment with our highest and best self. So things done out of compassion and love and service and gratitude, without worrying how it's going to be taken by the rest of the world, because it really isn't our problem. What we need to do is live in our own alignment, because that serves the greater good, as well as serving ourselves. If someone feels uncomfortable or is unable to graciously receive something that you've done or given to them, then that is on them. It's not on you. It's something to do with how they're seeing the world. And we must never let that stop us from being the highest and best version of ourselves. Whatever permission slip it is that you think you need to do it, well, here it is. Here's your permission slip. You can do it. And really, it's in everybody's best interest that you listen to that inner wisdom and follow your instincts when they come from the right place. All right, and point 3 is raising the energetics by doing some juicy visualizations. One of my favorite ones, and this is going to sound so wanky, but it's called the love bomb visualization. Not in a sort of toxic relationship, he's telling me he loves me too soon kind of way, but in like an amazing cacophony of loving energy sort of way. And this is how it goes. Just take a moment in a quiet place at work, maybe in a booth or an office or a toilet, and close your eyes for just a moment. And bring to mind a situation from your life when you felt the warm joy of pure love. Whether it was a family vacation or a simple moment with your best friend, playing a game with a young child you love, watching a sunset with your toes sinking in the sand of a warm ocean, feeling gratitude and love for the beauty of this life. Notice how you experience this sense of love. Notice how it feels, its temperature, its movement, what it looks like, its shape. Get a sense of the sensation quality in and through it. Is it dense? Or is it light? Is it squelchy or solid? How do you experience this inside of you? You might be surprised how specifically you notice you're experiencing this love. And now you've got a handle on how you're experiencing it. Just grow it. Make this feeling expand. And if it doesn't already have one, give it a colour. Make it just the right brightness and make it radiate out of you, filling your workplace and surrounding all the people in it with the light of your love. Make it this powerful energy bomb, this love energy bomb that surrounds everyone, covering them in this expanse of love and light. Make it glitter, make it sparkle, really feel it. And then as you feel it explode out around, just feel it come right back up through your feet, soaring through you. This love, the more you give, the more you get. It's a beautiful flowing cycle until you're swimming in this feeling of power, and love and creativity and gratitude. This energy. And then step out of wherever you are, the toilet you're in or the office you're in, and just notice how things feel a bit different. I know it sounds bizarre, but give it a try. You will just get a sense that your day has just become so much brighter. All right, and let's go to point number 4, remembering your why. Now, what was it that guided you to enter this job in the first place? Was it a stepping stone onto your overarching plan for your life? Is it funding your way to study so that you can become something that you've always wanted to be? Or maybe it's because you really believe in the work you're doing and you're aligned to its power. Maybe it affords you the financial freedom or flexibility to pursue other important things that you're interested in or that you love. Remembering our why can bring us back into gratitude, and that's the vibration you want to be in. It really helps us to get into that space where we are more creative, more loving, and where the universe just comes and meets us and presents more of what we want right to us, like a dessert buffet. It's where we want to be. And when we're humming and buzzing with this beautiful feeling inside of us, that's when we are able to just give so much more. And the more we give, the more we receive, and the easier life feels, and the more enjoyable our experiences, and the more experiences we're able to create for ourselves. And that is why we are here. Never assume that you know the extent of what can happen for you and to you at work. We have no freaking idea what the universe has in store for us, what is possible. Anything is actually possible. You don't know who's going to walk through the doors of where you're working. You don't know who your boss is best friends with. You don't know which way your life is going to go at work. But what I can promise you is that when you are living out of this higher vibration, good shit happens. I promise you. We want to be making sure that all our cups are full. Work is just one of them. But when we get a balanced life outside of work as well, it's so important to harbouring this feeling that we really want to be practicing and flexing and growing every day until it really becomes second nature to us to just feel good. That is the sacrifice we have to pay to manifest everything we want in life. It's feeling good. If you think you're up to the challenge, then do it, because amazing things will follow. Now, a bonus tip I have for you here is that if you find yourself feeling very unhappy at work and literally dreading going in, then I really encourage you to take some time, even if it's just a few moments, to ask yourself why and consciously work through what comes up for you. What is it about work that's making you feel miserable? Don't just go about your day hating it, thinking that you're trapped, because that is always just an indication that we need to expand our map of the world and our perception of what's possible for us. You deserve to be happy every day, most of the time, in fact. And more than that, it's actually why we're here. We're here to experience life in its fullest capacity and expand ourselves in the direction of our fullest potential. With that in mind, be honest to yourself about what you really want. And P.S., if it includes running away to a deserted beach, that might actually mean that you just need a holiday and your cup is empty. So why not look at doing that? Or at least a dialed down version of that if you can't afford a holiday or the time off right now. And then assess how aligned you are from your true path when you're in a more replenished place. Being able to identify how full your cup is and when it's running low and needs replenishing and refilling again, we deserve to give that to ourselves. And if it feels really icky to receive and to look after ourselves in that way, well, that's something that you need to look at, because we always deserve to feel good. And we can't possibly give when we're running on empty. That's when anxiety, depression, overwhelm, all these really low vibe feelings come to us. It's a natural human response, and it's our responsibility to make sure that our cup isn't running on empty and that we know how to refill it when we start to feel that it is. Okay, lovely one. So now it's over to you. It's up to you to make some space for some quality time to dive into the wonderful waters of you. And make sure that you make some notes either in your journal or your note-taking app. Some journal prompts for you are, number 1, who do I have negative feelings about at work and how can I increase my compassion for them? Number 2, in what ways could I share my gifts and shine my light on my workplace? Number 3, what insights or awakenings did I gain from doing the love bomb visualization, as wanky as I thought it first sounded? And number 4, 3 things I'm grateful for about my job and why it's in my own best interest to be there. Before I go, I have to apologise for all the noise in the background here. I live literally 7 minutes from the beach, so you think there would be just gentle waves in the background. But no, I've got trains and I've got wonderful people moving the bins around and doing all sorts of interesting things outside that makes lots of noise, including a whole cacophony of bugs that make it sound like barley here, all of which are beautiful sounds of summer, but still not the best for the background of a podcast. So apologies for that. In other news, I've just launched a beautiful Facebook group where it will be a safe place for you to share your story and get some well-founded advice from me and the other community members there. It's called Heal Stronger, Narcissist and Toxic Relationship Transition Support for Women. It's on Facebook. I'll leave the link in the show notes below. I look forward to speaking with you again later on this week, and in the meantime, I hope that this episode brings you closer to the love and life you were meant for. Speak to you soon. Bye. You should be so proud of this courageous, incredible journey you are on, and I'm so happy to be here supporting you to say goodbye to toxic relationships and claim the wonderful life and love you truly deserve. If you have a friend who you think needs to hear today's episode too, why not spread the love and share it with them? Sending you so much love in abundance. Until next time.